Good morning, Commissioners, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 17, 2022 Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop meeting. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. and at this time I open up the floor to public comments. There's nobody online. Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on then to agenda item number 3, and I'll call on Tammy Hershey to discuss contracts and grants.
Thank you, Stacy. Agenda item number 3 is existing contracts, contract extensions, or addenda with no additional cost or increase to the county for the following: children and youth services and public safety. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments or concerns regarding any of these agreements? Hearing none, we will move on to agenda item number 3, numeral 2, which consists of new contracts, vendors, services, grants, and contracts with increases or decreases to the county. I will begin by calling on Kim Witten to discuss the contracts for aging and community services. Kim.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. The first one, Bio One, they will provide hoarding cleaning services for our clients when the service is necessary. Keystone Guardianship Services will provide court reporting and guardianship services. Our department will no longer provide this service unless Keystone is unable to take the client. Casey Ball Home Care will provide personal care and home support to eligible seniors in our options program.
Commissioner, do you have any questions for Kim? Yeah. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Next, I will call on Adrian Bond to discuss the grant acceptance for victim services.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning. So this is a grant that we have been receiving since 1998. It's our Stop Violence Against Women grant that we pass through funds to domestic violence services, rape crisis services, and Mid-Penn, as well as our own detective and prosecutor in the DA's office. This was a grant we applied for last July in 2021. PCCD approved that grant last month, and we're just seeking your signature for the approval of their approval.
Questions for Adrian?
This is 5 years?
This is a 3-year grant, $125,000 per year. 2022 to 2024.
375. Sorry, I thought it said 5.
I wish.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adrian. I will now call on Mark Adams to discuss the contract for IMTO. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Commissioners. You recently approved a capital project for this project for the wireless wide area network. This is the contract that goes along with that for implementation services, and there's a 5-year maintenance to go along with that. So overall, the cost of the contract is $169,155 and some change. And that just kind of goes along with the whole capital project of upgrading our wireless network.
Questions for Mark? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Next, I will call on Sue Carball to discuss the contracts for MHIDB. Sue?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So we have a list of contracts here. The first 2 contracts are for ID, intellectual disabilities. The first one is with United Cerebral Palsy of Central PA. It is an amendment to their 21-22 contract. The increase will be $42,204. It is for additional services that they are providing. The next contract is for Vision for Equality. This is a new contract for 21-22. They provide our independent monitoring for our customer satisfaction. It is a decrease of $2,650. The next group of contracts is for early intervention. The first one, Leanne Broadbent, is an amendment for fiscal year 21-22. It's an increase of $2,383 due to additional authorized services, and her services provided is speech therapy. The next one, Kimberly Snowden, is an amendment to the fiscal year 21-22 contract. It is for $14,996. It is also for additional authorized services, which are speech therapy services. Next contract, TMB Developmental Therapy and Infant Massage. It's an amendment to their fiscal year 21-22 contract for $6,788 for additional authorized services, which are, they provide the evaluations for our children. The early bird therapy contract is an amendment for fiscal year 21-22. The amount is $55,393 for additional authorized services. And those services are occupational, physical, and speech therapy, as well as special instruction. The next contract, United Cerebral Palsy of Central PA, an amendment to their fiscal year 21-22 contract for $13,124 for additional authorized services such as nutrition support, occupational, physical, and speech therapies, and special instruction. And the last contract is Nicole Custer. Again, it's an amendment to her fiscal year 21-22 contract for $1,578 for additional authorized services, which those services are occupational therapy. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
I will now call on Claudia Gardner to discuss the grant acceptance for public safety. Claudia?
Good morning, everyone. We are asking for your permission to receive the EMPG, the Emergency Management Performance Grant Funding, which covers up to 50% of 2 of the positions here for emergency management. This year's grant award is $103,423. That is a decrease of $1,100 from last year. They had told us, I think it was June of last year, that we should anticipate seeing a slow decrease in our annual funding, given that we are granted the award, of course. Because they're restructuring, they're now going to a formula base, which is what most of PEMA grants are formula based. So I anticipate probably next year there will be another decrease before it steadies out again. But for 2021-22, this is reimbursable federal funding of $103,423, and it is an E-grant. So based on the approval on Tuesday, we'll need you to go in and e-sign that, please.
Any questions for Claudia?
No.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
I will now call on Justin Miller to discuss the contract for recycling and waste. Justin, morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this is the last piece of the puzzle for our 2022 Household Hazardous Waste Collection Event Program. The end of January, the Department of Agriculture notifies interested counties what their allotment of funding will be for pesticide disposal for the year. This year, it will be $20,000, which is what it was last year. And that covered all of our pesticide costs last year. I anticipate it will cover all the costs for this year as well. So they asked for written confirmation that, we intend to proceed. So I've drafted a letter for your signature, just confirming that we will be using their contractor, which we have to do to be eligible for that $20,000. So with that money, as well as the grants from DEP and the user fees we've established for this year, we should cover all our costs for that program.
Questions for Justin?
Oh,
Judd, I had one question. You had mentioned about in the update you and I discussed, you said that last year our expense was 15 something or other, and the cap on it's 20. But we've been seeing an uptick in pesticides, have we not, over the last few years? Are we confident that that number's still going to cover us completely?
I am. I ran numbers, projections for this year. I'm estimating our cost this year will be approximately $18,000. So getting close, but I think we'll be in good shape, Gary.
Great, thanks.
Justin, how many events are we planning for this year?
We are planning 4 again.
Okay.
April, June, August, and October.
And they're pretty much sold out, correct, each year?
Each year they've always filled up, not necessarily until maybe like a week before the event, but yes, they've
Right.
always filled up. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thanks.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the background, Justin. Very nice.
This is
Very
lovely.
nice.
Very lovely.
Welcome.
It's a stamp kind of guy.
All right, thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
That concludes the contracts and grants. I will now turn the meeting back over to Stacy Snyder.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Commissioners, we'll move on then to agenda item number 4, and this is an action requested item. It is a motion to reaffirm a contract between Cumberland County and CK Overstaffing Solutions. CK Overstaffing Solutions provides dietary, housekeeping, and laundry services staff for nursing homes. And this is much like the Infinite Staffing Solutions that we discussed last week. This is a contract that would allow us to bring staff into the building. CK Overstaffing will handle all of the background checks. They will also handle all of the health checks that are required. And of course, they will send that paperwork to us as the facility to ensure that we're in compliance with the Department of Health. I would like to note that Human Resources, our finance department, as well as the solicitor, have reviewed the contract before it was signed under the emergency declaration, so they could start bringing staff into the building. And one last thing to point out, the hourly rate is set. You'll see an amount on the document of $100,000. That was an amount that we estimated, but this is a pay-as-you-go. So certainly if we bring a staff member in, we will pay for their hourly rate services, which I don't anticipate would ever get close to the amount listed there, but for budgeting purposes, that is the amount that we selected. Any questions about the contract?
I just have one. Just want to make sure this is a contract between the county and CK Over.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Make a motion to reaffirm the contract between Cumberland County and C. Overstaffing Solutions as presented.
I second that motion.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. Move on then to agenda item number 5, and I'll call on Holly Sherman to discuss the plan adoption agreement. And again, I'll note that this is an action requested item. Holly?
Good morning, Commissioners. The document before you is in regards to our 457B deferred compensation plan. It is a required, every 6 years, the IRS requires, it's known as the Cycle 3 restatement. It ensures that the plans are updated to reflect new laws and regulations affected by tax qualified plans. We did have Lee Martin from Marquette Associates review this to make sure it was accurate in regard to our plan. Just want to move forward to the Board of Commissioners for signature to get it reaffirmed or get it approved by July 31st, which is the requirement.
Any questions for Holly?
I just want to make sure this, as I frame this motion, this is really called the plan adoption agreement.
Yes, so it is our plan document or for the 457B. Yes.
I'm going to ask this question. That's not what the agenda item says. The agenda item says we are going to discuss and approve the profit sharing 401k plan adoption agreement.
That's the technical term of the document.
Okay, just want to make sure that we've
Yeah.
okay.
But it
All
really
right.
is.
Yes, I
for,
too question that because we do not have a 401k, we do not have a profit
No.
sharing. So, and I will say the others have questioned it and we confirmed with Lee that yes, this is the accurate form that we are to be using.
All right, thank you.
Good motion.
So I will move to approve the Cumberland County profit sharing 401k plan adoption agreement as discussed today in the workshop meeting.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. If there's no further questions, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
Move
you.
on then to agenda item 6, and this is a discussion for Tuesday of an acceptance of the Cumberland Valley Trout Unlimited donation to Cumberland County for the Street to Streams program. We actually have Andy Benner here in person to discuss.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is actually a program that juvenile probation has been running since 2009. So I feel like this is a little late in coming, but wanted to make it go through official process of recognizing Cumberland Valley Trout Unlimited. They do donate and have a fund set aside for their members to donate to that goes towards us running our Street to Streams program, which we typically run once a year. I did include some information about that program. It is a collaborative program with not only delinquent youth, but we also reach out to Cumberland County Drug and Alcohol and Mental Health, as well as children and youth. And since 2009, we've had about 75 youth go through that program. I can certainly talk more about the program if you're interested, but the point was that I wanted to at least come to this group, acknowledge that they do donate money to Cumberland County. Right now in that fund that they manage, there's $1,221.84. I've included a letter. Hopefully you've received that to see that. And again, just wanted to go through a formal process of recognizing them as a donor to Cumberland County for this program.
Any questions for Andy? I'll just point out that unlike some who donate, rather than providing the donation, the cash donation to us, they take in donations and then they do all of the organization for the program. So it's really more of an acknowledgement of their hard work and their efforts at fundraising that we really want to make sure that we accept that and then recognize them.
Correct. And we had a probation officer who's no longer here who was involved with Cumberland Valley Trout Unlimited. It's kind of how it got established years ago. He's no longer with us, but he is a very integral part in getting the community members, the mentors to participate and really coordinating and organizing the whole program. So,
any questions for Andy?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Brent Durham here to request the authorization to advertise for mowing bids. Brent?
Good morning, Commissioners. We are asking permission to advertise for the bidding of lawn mowing services at aging, public safety, prison, and 1615 Rittner Highway properties. We will be looking to accept bids with a per mowing cost for the years 2022 and 2023 mowing seasons. Any questions?
Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 8, I'll call on Commissioner Fauci to discuss the reappointment recommendations from the Cumberland County Commission for Women.
Okay, so we have reappointment recommendations from the Cumberland County Commission for Women from Jeanette Diamond. The first is for the reappointment of Carrie Perry for a second term to run consecutively from the end of her first term on December 31, 2021. So the term would begin on January 1 of 2022 and run through December 31 of 2024. And we also have a reappointment for Jordan Pine. And this reappointment will begin January 1, 2022 and conclude December 31, 2024.
Any questions? All right, thank you. And I'll actually ask you to continue with the announcement of a resignation from the Cumberland County Local Emergency Planning Committee.
So the LEPC is announcing the resignation of Ronnie Anderson, who was the law enforcement representative. And he's been a member of the LEPC since 2013. And of course, Ronnie Anderson retired as Cumberland County Sheriff.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 10, I'll call in Commissioner DiFilippo to discuss the appointment recommendation for the Agricultural Land Preservation Board. Commissioner?
Yes, recently, the Ag Land Preservation Board interviewed 3 outstanding candidates to replace Gary Martin of Penn Township, who was the township representative for that board. Scott Mack is being requested from the board to fill that vacancy. Scott is a supervisor in Southampton. He's also the road foreman, and he's a very, very outgoing, intelligent man who really understands the value of farmland preservation, but he also understands that not all farms can be preserved. And so we have to balance this through as we go here in Cumberland County. So I would ask my colleagues to look favorably upon the recommendation. And there is a brief write-up in our packet.
Any questions?
No, I would just comment that I really enjoyed the letter. I thought Mr. Mack's letter was really well done and very heartfelt.
All right. Agenda item number 11, the Commissioner's Liaison reports, and I'll start by calling on Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, briefly, we had a pretty thorough update from Justin. The authorities meeting for the month is canceled. As most of what needs to be done is administrative work, and he has the requisite approvals and such. He did mention, of course, that the letter is going to be forthcoming soon for us in regards to the application on the pesticide money that's available. And he said that also one thing he did report on is that we have to get a registration approval before we begin actually putting together the household hazardous waste program for it this year. He said that should be forthcoming probably this week is what he's hearing through the grapevine. So we'll be then gearing up the marketing for that. We always, as Commissioner DeFilippo pointed out, we always tend to fill that up. So there's continued demand for that. But Samantha, if Justin hasn't already been in touch with you, that should be on your calendar. That's going to be coming. And we still want to push that message out, obviously. So good. Also, he did mention to me that we have he and Kirk Stoner planning are going to be meeting this week, I believe, with some folks from York College Engineering Department. Professors and students are coming to town. They're going to take a look at the recycling center as part of a class project. They're going to be adding some assistance to us in terms of the feasibility work of upgrading our recycling center. So we're using some cheap labor there, I guess, as part of the story there. But it's a good learning opportunity and a good opportunity to engage with some of our regional college students on something of real value. So a nice opportunity there. On the mental health IDD side, not a lot of change since my last report. The same issues continue to play out. Obviously, major staffing challenges; those are going to be with us for some time. I did. Let's see. Sue Carville did mention, of course, she addressed the contracts today. So the governor's proposed budget is still being reviewed by the state IDD and EI departments as well as advocacy groups. So there'll be some guidance forthcoming from them in regards to what the meaning of the budget proposal is. Of course, it's just a proposal at this point. So, and Annie Straight did send me some information in regards to the budget as well. Said that Cumberland Perry will have an overall proposed increase of about 12%. But she also noted that since 2019, there's been an increase of 17.5% for the individuals receiving county-funded mental health services. And she also reiterated the staffing struggles continue. And also noted, sent me a nice piece of data here in regards to an inquiry she made with the prison regarding the competency evaluations at the jail. I think we're all familiar with the situation there that our prison has become a major provider of and conduit for mental health services, unfortunately, in part due to lack of sufficient funding for services. But the competency requests are up 78% in the last 2 years. And as she notes, this clearly speaks to a significant unmet need in the community. These competency evaluations are obviously meant for folks who have mental illness, intellectual disabilities, autism, or even traumatic brain injury. So going up from the base number of 20 to now 41 over that. Well, that's going back to 2018, just for illustration purposes, but obviously the trend line that's continuing and troubling. Big leap in 2021, which surprises no one, I'm sure. So the only other item is we continue forward with the multi-pronged effort at CADIC. Everybody here was at the board meetings. We had ample discussion on what's going on there with the revisiting of the visioning effort as we retool. Also, simultaneously, the workforce development group very actively engaged and addressing staffing issues as well. So, a number of challenges there being met, but everybody's all hands on deck, and we seem to have a good path forward there. That's everything I have.
Commissioner Boschi.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Cumberland County. I will start with the Cumberland County Library System, which met on February 14th of 2022. And the library system finished its strategic planning, adopted a new strategic plan, and its mission has changed. So the mission is now to enhance the capacity of member libraries, encourage lifelong learning, and facilitate access to information and technology, all to improve the quality of life in our communities. I think it's a really nice mission statement, and I know that they worked very hard on their new strategic plan and are putting it into action nicely. They have submitted grant applications for LSTA grants. For a total of $79,006 in funds designated by the Office of Commonwealth Libraries. So they are waiting to, they're awaiting approval. So they would be able to use some of that money to increase access to resources, some of the money to enhance technology access, some of the money to remake space, and some of the money to take services outdoors. And that would include take and make activity kits. So I think that's a really great thing that the library system is doing. And I used the tutor services the other night to prove a theorem, a geometry theorem. So I just love it. It's just fantastic. It saves me all the time from my ninth grader who thinks I know nothing. So I just left the planning commission, and I don't know if planning commission is still going on. I left at 8:45, and they were still very, very nicely engaged. But there was public comment this morning regarding Interstate 81. This man came to the planning commission today and asked the planning commission to please take a look at what is going on with trucks and truckers in the area that have trucks covered with snow and ice. And that snow and ice is, of course, flying off of the roofs of those trucks on 81 and causing pretty serious problems. And he talked about how terrible it is that you can be pulled over by the Pennsylvania State Police for that particular issue, fined $50, and be on your merry way with all the snow and ice still on the roof of your vehicle. And he brought our attention to Senate Bill number 114. This is Christine's Law, named after a woman who was killed because of snow and ice flying off the back of a truck. This has been sitting, waiting for someone to do something with it at the legislature since 2005. So it would tighten that law up a little bit, make things a little more serious. But this gentleman really talked about how important it is that warehouses that have all of these trucks install equipment to clean the roofs of those trucks off, the tops of their trailers off, because OSHA says you can't climb that high to clean snow and ice off, right? You can't get on a ladder and climb that high to do it. So he was encouraging that. So I left off with the volunteers for their committees were done. They are talking about possibly changing their fee structure. They're bringing that to the planning commission to take a look at. They talked about how much time they often invest into plan review. So they were bringing that to the commission to consider. And that's pretty much where I left off, because it became very difficult to hear anything that was going on in that meeting. So I have brought that to Stacy's attention and to the attention of my MTO. And I know Adam was sitting in my office listening to Zoom when I left. So hopefully that gets fixed. It actually isn't hopefully, it just really needs to. We cannot offer public meetings to people that they can't hear. It makes no sense. It's not part of our mission. The Stop Violence Against Women Task Force met last week. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I am going out to the YWCA today at 11 o'clock to have a conversation about their role in things. The DA's office talked about their toner and ink issue and how hard it is to print things because they have no toner and ink. Like, they had a presentation, but they didn't print it because they don't have toner and ink. So I did tell them, Stacy, if they really needed it, they'd come over here and we could print something. Yeah,
I can't get them toner.
No, I know.
But we could certainly allow them to
definitely help them
something,
print.
of course.
So in Silver Spring Township, the chief there, Chris Robinstein, he is talking about an event that will be held at Hidden Creek Park later this year for our minority communities to get together and really get to know each other and get to know the people in Silver Spring Township that run that particular township. So that there's some outreach going on there that I think is really great. The other thing that was very interesting, and I thought maybe kind of apropos to a couple of things that we know about going on, Kelly Villalobos is the U.S. Army family advocate. And she is talking about how the Army, per the National Defense Act, is now protecting child victims of child sexual behavior that is age inappropriate. So this would be child on child inappropriate sexual behavior. I thought that was it's needed, and it is a very good preventive measure as children get older. So, and part of the National Defense Act, they've been tasked with it. It's part of federal law. And of course, April 24th to April 30th is Victims' Rights Week. So we did planning. The Western Council of Governments met on Monday, and they have asked me to do two things. And the first one is they would like to know what can the county do to provide funding for emergency services in their area. And they brought to my attention, and I have to go check this because they did not know if this was factual. They didn't know if someone had just kind of thought that maybe this was happening, but they mentioned that 2%, the county gets 2% of warehouses. No one really knew what that meant, but if we do get that money, could we put some of that money towards EMS and fire in the western part of the county? I don't know, but I'm going to first of all look into, is that even happening? But there was a lengthy discussion about how our fire services and our EMS are so terribly underfunded. And I know we talk about it all of the time, but really things seem to be getting pretty dire. And the other thing that I was asked to take a look at, and I know very little about, Shippensburg went ahead and entered into their own memorandum of understanding with the casino to bring in some money for Shippensburg. But they are wondering, what is the county going to do with their share of the money? And I have no idea if we are getting a share of the money, if we've pondered that, what are we going to do?
We are not in line to get a share. There's a share that will be allocated to the county, but not to the county government. We're working, Kate's legislative council is working on trying to team up with the other class 4 casino counties to try to get a legislative change. It's been a topic of discussion for over a year now, and there's not been a lot of movement from any of them, but York County is sort of taking this coalition, and we're looking for other angles to work on that as well.
Right.
Currently, the money that's allocated for the state will go to the Commonwealth Financing Agency within DCED. They ostensibly will make all the decisions on what our share goes for. We're trying to work with the legislature to cut the county in on to have at least some decision-making power.
Okay, they mentioned that the host municipality gets 2% of slots and 2% of the gaming tables, but that's all capped at 50% of that host municipality's annual budget. So we should definitely be working on figuring out how to get our fair share. I wonder how Dauphin County is doing.
They have a different class of casino, so they're covered by totally different rules.
All right, well, I will continue to pay attention to that and see what I can figure out, but KDIC is doing that work. Okay, all right. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DiFilippo.
Question that the Western Con somebody mentioned 2% of warehouses. Did they explain what they meant by that?
No, and they were very, very honest in saying that that was something that they had heard from someone else. They didn't know if it was true, but they were bringing it to me so that I could look into it, which I'm doing.
Yeah, good. I've not heard of.
Me either, but.
Okay, thanks. And I have one report. The Ag Preservation Board met last week. Most of the meeting was interviewing of candidates. for the position that Scott Mack has been recommended for. Nothing real earth shattering. All the settlements for 2020 and 2021 farms are on schedule. In fact, many of them have settled or will be settling next month. There is interest from Southampton Township and Dickinson Township in speaking with the representatives from Silver Spring Township on land preservation. So keep our fingers crossed on that. That's all I have. There will be housing redevelopment meeting today, aging advisory board tomorrow, Capital Council of Governments on Monday, and the Conservation District Tuesday. So next workshop, I'll have more reports.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would like to report that executive sessions were held on February 7th, 2:20 p.m. regarding potential litigation, and on February 16th at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. Is there any additional business that needs to come before the board today? Hearing none, we are adjourned.